Okay, so Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band says, I'm just starting to think trading is just a waste of time. If I put the hours into that, I think it means if I put the hours into what I've been trying to learn to trade, I could have made a lot more money in my day job. Now, here's the thing. This invokes this, dare I say, Mark Douglas comment that you want to be a consistent trader, consistently winning. Now, that would mean that you would just take $10 out of the market. You would take 10 cents out of the market. To be a consistently winning trader, I don't know if you can go for a big home run trade where you put a big wide stop in. If you think about a day job, you're typically doing incremental stuff. If you work in a factory, you would just be putting in one phase of something. All you do, like when you show up, it's just a big boat, like you're like in the Navy, and all you do is load the missile, the torpedoes. You're the torpedo loader. You got it down. You show up. It's no brainer. In fact, it's muscle memory after a while. And trading could be like that. I think that's the idea of one-click trading, is that you just hit the button and boom, there you go. And of course, having the robot do it for you, trolling for pippage, I would say, on limits. It's dropping limits that last 15 minutes, a half hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, or as often as you can get to your platform. Now, it's obvious that the market's going up and down. Problem number two is that the market has no concept of time in a way. It only has a concept of price. So the problem there is that if you watch the ticker flicking, if you just watch price flicker, it's a good exercise. Just turn off the chart and watch the prices. Now, when I first traded Forex, my tequila buddy brought up the FXCM platform with, I think, the default, or maybe he loaded all these currency pairs, but literally, well, actually, this is interesting about FXCM. It had a pure quote thing, whereas MT4 doesn't have this tiled out. Like, I could have all these things blinking, but there's something to be said for the tilation of all these tickets that are flashing red and blue. Now, you can only imagine that my childlike tequila buddy is like a 5-year-old girl watching glitter fall from the ceiling when he sees this happen. And his response is, wow, look at all that fluctuation. And of course, the other side of the brain is saying, in Mark Douglas terms, look at all that opportunity and all this stuff going on. But now this, so if you're driving down the road, do you care if there's an earthquake? No, because you probably couldn't feel it. But an earthquake on the chart is going to be, oh, it went up and down 2.5 pips. Because you're not going to notice 2.5 pips too much. But if it goes 25 pips in 30 seconds compared to 30 minutes, 30 hours, all those events have existed and probably will happen again. And, you know, this guy from the, I don't know if I crashed this recording, but I'll complain about it again. So I did a video here where I closed out the end of the year, or the end of the season with this angry floor trader with a SEAL Team 6 nonsense. Okay, that's wonderful. Bruce Lee 1-inch punch. But dude, nobody wakes up in the morning like they're in a movie and gets punched in the face every day. Now, as hardcore and as angry as I am, I still need to take a break. I figure that if you're alive, go for it. Now, you know, this is the idea of the war room. And we're fighting the good fight. I don't know. It's so tangential right now. I'm just thinking to myself, these guys people want to be a hero. They want to be whatever X is. Well, they can take this motivation to the market. But if the market was a day job, and it really is about as boring as a day job, you would just see 5 and 10 pips here. Like every dotted line is 10 pips, even though it's on the 5s. It's offset by 5 pips. So you're dealing with offsets. You're dealing with, well, the market rockets up and down sometimes, and I don't think people are prepared for that psychologically, because you don't have, as much as they say time's a myth, you still got a clock running in your head. If you ask me out of the blue what time it is without looking at a clock, could I guess what time it is? From the last reference. Now, on the chart, if you're looking for candlestick patterns on the 5-minute chart, and I used to, I'm not talking staring at a 9-minute chart, because this is what I ran, a 9-minute chart, because it fit into 5 times 9 is 45, and there's like, I think there's 5 bars, so 5 40-minute bars on my chart. Yeah, soybeans opens at 10:30 in the morning, they close at 2:15. So you had this bizarre time window. And we had gap opens. And I guess I'll never be able to let go of that thought either, because I want to lose. Every time you want to lose money, let's imagine you lost money. You'd say, what did I do wrong? Now, it could be that you did more than one thing wrong, because within that trade, there was an entry and an exit. So you could have got in, and with a small enough size, you could have claimed, like SEAL Team 6 guy, that you won that trade. Now, this is also a denial mechanism for rationalizing a swing trade of going underwater and saying, but if anybody on the street asked you how good of a trader you were, you'd say, well, I'm a total loser, because every time I get in, I'm wrong by the first tenth of a pip. Oh, actually, I'm down by the spread, even though this one guy doesn't believe that's a loss. I think it's going to cost you something to trade. Whatever that number is. I think that the big problem in trading is the disbelief that pure structure or pure price movement is how you make money. Non-directional pure price movement. So really, we could have made money from either direction on a lot of these trades here on this chart. Now, if we cherry pick those trades, you can make the argument that you made more money shorting than going long, depending on your time exposure. If you were willing to sit in the trade longer than the other guy who just scalped out, you're obviously making more fucking pips. And if your size is always the same per pip, more money. What is this perfect amount? What is this Goldilocks stuff? Well, on this chart, on the 5-minute, I'd say that if you really wanted to be like a crackhead trader, you're going to keep getting in and out of this thing for 10 pips all day long, 5 pips all day long, 3 pips stop to make 5, 5 to make 8, 9 to make 14, 10 to make 16, 11 to make 18. Keep expanding by 3.5 pips on the upside. Hit that button. How fast is your broker? Maybe you bought 2 pips deep on a limit. So I've been trading it 15 minutes. A pending 3 pips deep for 15 minutes. I'd do that all day long. Now, when the news is about to come out, there's no that idea is ridiculous. In fact, at that point, you could run literally non-directional stop entries and just pay 20% premium in the insurance policy that, well, you can be an idiot. Now you can be an idiot. If you're trading naked one direction big, you better fucking have your beat on the apex of the turn. If you're in a road rail, if you're in a race, right? Every corner means something. So every vacuum reversal, fill, come back in, that all matters now. And it matters all day long if it tests the 10 pip, the 109.10 here. 109 even. So we've seen this, like, the funny thing is people want to make a story about what happened price-wise when all you have to do is look at this chart and say, God, 108, weren't we there like 5 months ago? Like, what the fuck are these people retarded? Now, this is another big problem, is when you look at this, you just say, why? It's like a really... Now, the guy that claims I hate women, it's like a really hot chick ending up falling in love with some stupid rock star. And she could have been my girlfriend. This is the problem. So, in the amount of so-called strength there is to having money in the world, it's not really all that. A lot of older people give up all their money to be young. So this idea that, if I was making X trading and I show you all the money I made, that people go, wow, you must really know what you're doing. Well, why? Look at Bill Gates. Look at people that have made just piles of money with the worst fucking product in the world. Windows? It's a necessary evil. MetaTrader's better than Windows. Come on, at least, but they're in bed together, so. So yeah, 5-minute chart. My God, man, look how much work to make 5 pips. I'm seeing 20 trades here that make 5 to 10 pips. I'm seeing a 40 pip trade that takes like 5 minutes. Now, how is this even possible? That you could, with the right order placement here, have made 40 pips in 5 minutes, where here, it took you 40 minutes to make just 5 pips, Look at this grind. Now, this is a trend trader's dream, if you consider that the trend, which I would. That's the trend. Here's the other trend trader's dream. Time only. You draw your first trend line here. You buy it. You keep buying at the trend line. Even here, you get filled. But you're getting filled. You better be ready to buy down here. And I marked this off before the fact. Look at how this is like the last known low volatility situation. Then, like, just this chart alone, you could be on here for, I could spend 2 hours explaining every pattern I see. Well, patterns don't matter. Well, but your brain's got to see it, right? I mean, how can you miss this stuff, right? Now here, there's so much data, my God. Look at this perfect trend line here. You buy a bounce off of that. You get a nice triangle forming. Boom. Look at the stop hunt. The fuck? Let me see if I can drill out on this thing. I want to draw freehand, but it's like a challenge here. Use my special zoom tool. So yeah, let me walk through this chart. I mean, it's classic. Now, this is 10 pips on the solid and the dotted. We've got the big round 109. Just viciously blow through it. And this is psychotic. You don't even want to watch this happen. Like, your equity at this point, you're either getting crushed or you're either a millionaire or you're less than a millionaire. If you got in, imagine if you had a goober entry going here. So you put a buy stop here, right? And that was a good idea. The market came up. She comes back. Everybody gets in. Confirmation pullback. And everybody's loving it. The first 7 pips. Now, this is why people are getting killed trading. I guarantee you. They're like, I did what you said. This is the structure. I'm with you so far. Double top. Breakout. Okay. Comes the scalpers. Pulls it back to starting gate. Everybody's on board train. Here we go. Going up to my target. And then, lo and behold, what the hell? What is this move about? What nobody told me about this shit. Now, this could just be the spread got that wide. Like, no, that's the bid. So, yeah, the ask was here maybe. Maybe this is as good as it got. So if the spread went to 10 pips for a millisecond, the bid would be here. And so this doesn't tell you the story of how this even happened. Because for the guys with tight stops, they got stop hunted in terms of the money management bots running a trailing, right? And he just takes full profit here maybe. But no, the trailing money management bot, let's say it's a structured bot, and it can actually see this setup. Bottom becomes a top, becomes a bottom. Goes up, buys at the market, 5 minutes down, time bot, structure bot, and he buys here. And then he runs a trailing self-stop, and here he cashes out because he gets clobbered by this vicious pullback, or he gets clobbered here if he's going to cancel and replace every 5 minutes. Cancel, replace every 5 minutes, and then, right? But if you're the money management bot, you've got your stop here, and you've got a stop here, because this is actually your break-even stop from when you got in the whole train. And maybe you got to stop here, and this is the only surviving tickets out of a whole bank. So imagine this is what it would look like. You're either let's pick anywhere along the line here. We're either selling new highs here for some type of comeback to here and cash out. So there's a scalp for somebody. Then this is just happens to be we stop here. Then we go down. Are you the guy buying here, here, here on limits that last? And you got limits here and limits here. Now this bank of limits, I would say 8 hours. And maybe you've got a soft stop here connected to all these tickets. So you've seen this at the bottom. So here's your, in other words, the script's going to look like this. You're buying here, 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 and then you've got stops that start like here, maybe in a 5 pip window. So here's your total soft stop, and here is your martingale entries. So you, for me, it's going to look like limits. I call it Bigfoot, where it's like, okay, these are bigger tickets. These also last longer. We have limits here that never got filled. So this is the other part of the trick, is that if you're going to risk 50% of the account in for 1 day, right? You're willing to risk 50% of the account in one day. You can really load up, say, on limits here. Right, this is your first coming out of Asia. It's first stop hunt, right? Where they come back. Obviously, last known price pulse was up. Like so, if it's a fractal story, we only got to look back here. Wherever the story starts. This is a lower low from the future. It's going up. Okay, I got that. Like now, you could also just make your own chart out of this and just smooth it out yourself. Go down, up. This is, I would take this from use Akil Stokes' voice over on this. It's swing up, swing down, swing up, swing down, swing down. We got higher highs, higher lows, blah, 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 blah. So we can just do, and then we would just come in here and just really chunk it out, smooth out the data, put like an envelope here, and just try to get rid of so much of that noise. And I guess if you had a pure, but look how insane this move is. Just block it out. So that's like, you're just drawing channels there, I suppose. This is kind of a nice, perfect channel. That's all Alleywave's trying to do is. But this run here is unexplainable other than, for me, it's this first time out of this box. Come back in. Everybody wishes it would come back deeper. So if you're a buyer, you're always wishing. That's my wish in life is, if it's going to spike down here, hurry up and fucking do it so it can go like that and it can make something. The problem here is inconsistency. This is not happening all the time. This stop hunt, this gold, and of course, if you're waiting for that to happen, you would buy here because you're very close. You would buy here and buy here at the market. You would build a position. Anticipation, you're going up. You're buying in pullbacks. You're accumulating here. But this last cutback, you're in here. You perceive, so this is what you would perceive. Most people, some people, they see, if they're bullish, all they see is the up story. They love that, right? Look, he's doing so good. Look, he's doing so good. And of course, some people would ignore this move. They would prefer this nice, consistent rate of change trade. Now, there's some people who feel comfortable. Oh, I can make $100 and that sounds like a normal job. But the problem is, what if you just made, your normal job doesn't pay like $300 in 2 hours or $1,000 in 2 hours. Your job doesn't do that. That's a problem. Now here, I actually feel like this is at a 45-degree angle, depending on how we compress the data. I feel kind of like this is a nice moralistic rate of richness. Nobody wants to see this, right, with their portfolio, and then they just blew up their account. So that's funny because everybody's so afraid of blowing up their account. They upset that I'm even doing it. Like or that's triggering them. Well, that's weird. Now, this is such a brutal, like if you're short, you're getting crushed here. And if you're long, you're like, holy shit. Now, if you hang out for this part of the party here, this is when things go terribly wrong. Because we never get out of this box. And your regret for not getting the fuck out here when you'd have to say that if you're making money quickly, you're getting rich quick and you shouldn't be doing that. That's immoral. So this is the moral rate of change or the moral rate of loss. He's not so bad. Oh, sure, he's circling the drain, but look at, come on. It's not like he's crashing or he's getting rich quick, like was worse, right? What's worse? Honestly, this is terrible. If you're so up here, and not to mention, if an hour later your equity is here, which really you're only up about, you're almost double your money, you really got to look at these trades. You may perceive this target out of your Fibonacci. Okay, here's your Fibonacci thing. But look how long, look at how many bullshit attempts to get off the ground here. And if you're in big enough to make $1 million here, that means that you're looking at $500 fluctuations here. How do you feel about a $500 fluctuation or a $5,000 fluctuation every so many hours? Now, if you have a big crew running a ship, the fact that you're cutting the water and you're getting somewhere, that's all that really matters. If you're a single solo performer and you're like a guru, for lack of a better, you're so well versed in what you do that it's second nature to you. You don't give a fuck and you just do X. Then you're either going to get bored once you see how stupid it is, or you're going to have to do something else. You would do something else anyways, right? You're going to go and do you're going to go cut your lawn, or you go play golf. Nobody would trade straight through. If you realize it's going to take you 10 days to make 50 pips, and this is presupposing that you're in the trade and you were up 300 pips, you were down 400, you ended up waiting. I mean, it's completely conceivable you could be a consistently winning trader that doesn't get out of an amazing winning trade. There's so many levels of performance. You'd be a guy that you follow the book, you've got a goober system, you trade with Trade Empowered, you're making 20% a month. Okay, great. I guess I'm just too, I want to have a punching bag so I don't kick my dog. Maybe I want to have a pen that fucking writes. The only pen that's worked so far is better than the invention of Velcro is this gel pen. This G2. Gel pens? Oh my God. Love that gel pen. But, everything else, it's kind of a real fuck up. It's amazing anything gets done. I guess you're counting on people giving a shit, But, trading is just such a mess, and the dynamic range is too big. It's not a game. It's not a band you can play in, because it's like an orchestra, I'd say. It's kind of like you have a kettle drum, or you have the 1812 overture, I guess is the ultimate example. We've got this cannon going off. Now, when digital came out, you could wipe out your system on the 1812 overture because of these cannons. Especially a high-end dynamic system, 120 dBs, whatever the supposed. But this is worse than that. This is like 5,000 dBs to 10 dBs. Like I can't hear it to I just went deaf for the rest of my 5 lives. So, and you really think that you want to trade that at the market. So if you are trading all day long, you have to have a demo account. There's nothing for you to do. What are you going to do? I've never seen a dumber sport in my life. Like literally, you pull the trigger. Like unless you're hitting the trigger, unless you're pulling the trigger every 5 minutes, you don't need to be there. You know, it's like a gun. Would you go to the shooting range and just shoot it, or are you aiming at targets? If you're aiming at targets in this game, I mean, you're waiting 8 minutes for a target to move. Otherwise, you're just going to be shooting the same price. The spread would just eat you alive if you just kept pressing the button. So, and I pressed so many buttons in here. Now, the trick is to accommodate the landscape of the dynamic range of the market. That's the trick. Can you sense, without interrupting people and finishing their sentences for them? I could do that. I've probably already done it and annoyed people, but I see where you're going. I see where the market's going. And of course, here's another problem. You're like, yeah, I've seen this a million times, this pattern, this scenario. And then it dawns on you, you'd actually have to press the button. And now that's a chore unto its own. So if you don't love trading, you don't love scanning charts, then you probably shouldn't trade. Only from the standpoint of, well, the danger of boredom, you know. And I can't think of another thing. Well, other than charting a ship, to me it reminds me of charting a ship in a storm, aerial view, and what could possibly happen turbulent-wise. And this is the way that Bill Williams describes it as a chaos that creates a turbulence. And in one of his books in the beginning, he's got like this storm. And it's like a pip storm, I guess. But it's into a vacuum, like when you have a storm, you have a high and low pressure front come in. And you're going to get the same effect. And there'll be spikes, there'll be lightning. And that's what it looks like to me. And not to mention, these are floating currencies. So there's no... The buoyancy level is... but the atmospheres are constantly changing. So the buoyancy, the floating currencies, they're not attached to anything. This is the problem with the Swiss franc there, getting depegged. So it's a physical, for me, trading's a physical thing. The charts are vertical. Market goes up and down. Now, if you take the gridiron approach, the aerial view of a football game or the aerial view of a ship lost at sea, it has, to me, a different, descriptions for the movements. You could say north and south. So once you say north and south, you've taken yourself to a map view. And this would be like, so you're looking at the money map, or in the most 3D aspect, you would turn the market sideways and you see the market profile. So you'd see the compression of the popularity of price at certain levels. So here, without going to market profile, there's probably some kind of bulge here because we spent a lot of time here, but they also take into account all the volume that happened here. And so if you just kept on, defractalizing this by constantly shading in the congestion zones, and then this is when you come to the conclusion that 80% of this fucking thing is nothing but this shit. And you're like, God damn it. Like, Man, I wish it was like this all day long. No, sorry, you're in traffic. Did I mention I went to Starbucks and their grinder broke? So, yeah, this is it. Oh, our grinder's down. We're Starbucks. Sorry, we closed this morning. Oh, the manager's not here. He doesn't come until 10:38. Oh, wow. And he makes, I guess the managers don't make that much money. And then look at this. Wow, she came to dinner finally with me. She let me rape her in the car. Oh, yeah, and then we went and see each other for a while. And oh, yeah, and then she bought a new car. We got raped in that one. Made it to my Fibonacci seats in the car. Perfectly designed for her ass. And then it looks like we're just going to have more, she'll be knitting. She'll be talking to somebody that I don't like. And then, well, I think the relationship's going to get real bad coming up. Like, so we're either going to go back to here when, yeah, we're about to get divorced again, I think. Yeah, you're really getting boring on me. I'm going to send you over there and let that guy don't read no books. Let him have, you guys can have, I'll rent you out to him. And what we'll do here is we'll consolidate over here. We'll find out. And then later on, I'm telling you, wave 5, honey. We're getting remarried in Vegas. That's wave 4. Right, this is that's Bob Proctor's Elliott wave. The gangster movies. He's got a sociological Elliott wave. It's like you don't go past that 10-pip barrier, buddy. I got nothing wrong with what you're doing over here, you range traders. Now, just a note to you range traders, when you're over here doing this shit, we don't want to hear about no scalping. Now here, you can cheer all you want for your team. But here, I don't want to hear nobody belly aching about it. Not go. This is that SEAL Team 6 guy. Told you he was going at a fib handle here. Not you see the Fibonacci works. How dare you fucking tell me that shit don't work? Oh man, on a ship of fools. So yeah. This is I'm projecting off this 3-8, if you don't mind. Here's my 6-1-8 right here. Told you. I told you. Now listen. Anyways. Oh, you know. I don't really, you know, this 5-minute chart. This could be a 4-hour chart, whatever, fill in the blank. This could be, you know, 100 pips from here to here. This could be a weekly chart. Thing is, there are people that are going to just ruin your life and make the market go like this. All these directionless assholes that occupy this chart. Now, I really do resent these kind of movements. I'm not going to lie to you. This is bullshit. I call that noise. It's like a 60 cycle hum on your guitar pickups. It's not something you want to entertain here, son. We don't appreciate the fuckers on this 1-minute chart. So you got the 1-minute chart, right? You got these ass clowns. Oh, we're running 3-pip stops on that. But yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? These structures only run forward. Like your fib handles, they run into the background here. The Fibonacci's will be on the backdrop. If you look in the brochure, how to cash in then in a 618. I should go zoom out because you really can't see what I see. I'm just panning the screen. Sorry. The zoom doesn't zoom for me. Oh man, you know, you can too much. Sometimes you can be too close to something. So what are you trying to say here, son? What is your projected? Where's the next trade here? Okay, let's go to the 4-hour chart. Oops. Oh wait, there we go. Oh boy. So here's the 5-minute. And then let's be ridiculous. This is the 5-minute chart. Let's be as ridiculous as possible here. That's the 5-minute chart. It looks like a fucking tick chart. Somebody asked me, how do you trade the tick chart? And I'm like, I'd say with a broker. You know, it's just looks like that. Like, wow, jump on. Here's the tick chart. Where do you want to get in? Anywhere's good. Look at, you can get a 5-pip discount at any time on this thing. Like right now. So really, if I was going to do a drawing, entry symposium, how to get in the market. Well, let's see. This should be too hard to figure out. Even if you have a day job, you could just go, okay, it's what time of day? I don't give a fuck. I'm buying here, buying here. Every 5 pips, I'm going to buy. Okay, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say it's 10K. Now I sound like Ryan Brown now. So we'll do a Ryan Brown trade here. Now let's put a 20-pip stop on this bank. So we just big fat stop here. And we could have it a tenth of a pip apart. So we can put in a 1-pip range, we can have 10 different stops. I'm making that too dramatic. So let's see, our last entry is here. These are our entries. Well, let's put a stop ranging for, so every pip, there's a stop. So there's a soft stop here. And how long is that going to last? I'd say, let's go 8 hours on this one. This is set it and forget it. This will be our riskiest trade of the day. So maybe none of this fills, but if we have a button that we press, one button for this trade, literally gets in. And if it is going to get in 5 pips deep and the market happens to be here when we click it, it's going to come in like this. Right. So it'll be on the 2.5s. We could have a 2.5 pip credit. And I would say, let's go all day long here. Let's go all week long down here and all month long down here. Like, or all week, at the end of the week, I'd love to buy here. So I know it's inconceivable, and it may not make sense for your moving averages and your Gartleys and your pitchforks, but there's no reason why we couldn't come down here again. There's just no reason why. Oh shit, I got drawing mode to clear that. That's a mistake in the program. We should be able to delete all our objects here. That's zoomed out. That's the 1-minute chart. I guess I was looking at that like it was the hourly chart when I called out those times. Because if I look at the 5-minute chart, we could totally, without any trouble, just like when we came in here and rated this price, we could totally come down here. And what? I mean, it's just a retest of that. I think what's really key to understand is where in the landscape of time are these trades you're talking about? Let's get rid of this nonsense and go for the full tilt chartability. Well, This is max zoom out on the 5. Max zoom on the 15, 30 minute, 1 hour. Now just think about that trade. This is, you're on the 5 minute and you got the 1 hour chart open. They're both zoomed out. Compared to, I zoom in on the 1 hour. And then I go to the 5. Sorry. I thought I had 2 charts up there. It looks just like the 5 minute. Looks just like the 5 minute. Same bottom formation. 15. So here's the critical window. Is the 15-minute chart. Because you're only spending 15 minutes to half an hour in this hole. It's unsustainable. And it's satisfied this price here. There's no stop hunt here. These are just perfect pullbacks. What's the next trade? It's so dumb. I buy here coming into next week. I buy here. It's obvious. All year long I'll be buying down here. If we can get down here. Who's not buying at 103? We could go down there. Look at darn tootin', we've been there before. And I like some guy said after this guy Kelvin, some goober who had the Andrews Pitchfork said, well, looks like he was right about that target. Okay, SEAL Team 6 Cunt would say the same thing. So, you know, it's a joke. Look at the respect this thing has for all my white lines. 10 pips. Turns right on the 10 pip. But yeah. And look at this pullback here. Damn, after they satisfied this window up here, it was amazing. We got 10 pip. There's a baby window right here. The pressure was relieved, finally. Here's your perfect resistance level. But look at this. Look at these stop hunters. Gobbling up 2-week bottom. So yeah, I could definitely retest that. Like I said, I'd be buying on the 1 hour chart. I think MetaTrader at 720 res, max zoom. This is too much information. I would go like this. Never zoom in. Never looked at more than 20 to 30 bars. That's a 1 hour chart. I can conceive waiting 3 hours to get filled here for this entry. I could see that. You'd have to wait 3 hours to get filled on a pullback. Just 1 hour pullback here, but look at this one. You want your buy stop in this, where the trailing money management bots are. Then you're going to load the wagon. The smaller the bar, the more you load up. Here, coming out of Asia, but here, look at this. Never a stop out. Only a fill on the long side. Never even a fill here. Here you got trapped, but here your larger ATR bot was in. The smallest bar is the 7 pip bar. Here's a 11 pip bar. Here is a, look at how small this bar is, falling out of Asia. The dumbest fucking trade you'll ever do in your life. Look at this. Sell stops triggered. Here's where the breakout bot's going to make its money. You have 10 more bots come in on this small bar right here. Now, why you can't code that, I don't know. But to this date, nobody's been able to do it. You're trading the Asian breakout. London breakout's too fucking vicious. That's the London trap out. I mean, this is too... Unless you're talking about this move where you get in here. I guess this is the London breakout, right? But you're riding... Or this is maybe the U.S. Open. I don't know. I think London's just right coming into U.S. Open. The tennis game. But look at this. 2 hours. It's a lot of pips in 2 hours. Just a whole ton of pips. 50 pips. Then nothing. And you just gave back half. So yeah, this is obvious to me. This looks like a huge buying zone. Sellers will come in above here. Obviously. Yeah, the weekly, you know. There's a big hole. I just got done filling this. Actually, even a dumbass high-risk robot could have bought this buy at this new high and been a winner. Right? Unless this was the stop out. I don't know what happened during that week, but this was a trap. Fake breakout, one more crush. But yeah, you gotta perceive how long this trade's gonna take. It's not good to look at data like this. I don't think this is helpful at all. I want to see less. I can only see back 2 days. So without Fibonacci, the only thing that matters on this chart is this price here and the hole from here to that price. This big hole above, and the next fractal hole here. Sell, good place to sell up here, good place to buy below, go figure. Based on where the market's at right now, it's always going to be better. Every hour that goes by, for the sellers, the best prices are above. For the buyers, the best prices are still below you. In fact, if it goes down 5 pips, that's not as good as it going down 10. But if the dynamic range of the market, you're in Asia, it's drifting, okay, it's down 10 pips in an hour. Now it just spikes down 30 pips in an hour. And that was the better buy, but you committed 10% of the account to buying the drift back. And there you have to have dry powder for the better entries. So you have to know that every trade that you do at the market sucks. It has to. Because if it didn't, it would mean that you picked the one moment in time that the market was going to go in your favor and never look back. That's fucking impossible. Now, you could do that 1 out of 100 times, or 1 out of 10 times. Still have a problem if you're risking too much. You can nail it, but you'd still have to take something out of that. Like you couldn't always count on, you're still losing. Now, since you're making so much money though, sometimes, it's going to seem like you can afford it. But you really can't. Like you wouldn't run a business like that. Like if you were selling Ferraris and Porsches and some Rolls Royce and you're making 40 grand. But then the guy that's fixing one of your vehicles, like, accidentally catches the car on fire. You sold 10 rolls, but you still did lose 10% on one car. You're like, oh man, wow, that's not good, is it? But if the guy's just denting the car, and at the end of the week you've just got $1,000 dent to repair, you're like, that's getting better. I don't think trading would ever be quite as dollar. It could be a dollar risk game where you literally are buying a 1K. You got $1 million in the account and you're buying a 1K with 1,000 pips stop. Now, if you think about this percentage wise to the account, this is why everybody talks about, is it a real account or is it a demo account? That's not the question. The question is, how much money is in the account? In the demo account, it's zero. In a real account, it could start at $100 or $1,000. Okay, on your way to $10 million in the account, if you're putting $10 million in a Forex account, who are you that you'd want to make more money than that? I'm not saying that you wouldn't, some greedy person wouldn't want to keep making an infinite amount of money. For some idea, can perceive that happiness exists in that or something, or whatever the drive is, with more renegades. But, at some point, right, you'd say, well, dude, if you just put $10 million in a trading account, why don't you just retire? Why are you trading anyways? But maybe you're the kind of guy that used to make $40 million in your day job, and now you're like, oh, let's take about $1 million. I mean, I don't know who these people are. I don't know anybody like that, but they're like, yeah, I think, I do know a guy who's making about $500,000 a year. So at some point, I suppose if I could get this, I do have the stuff that, like I said, I'd have to have a real person pull the trigger with some, and this is another debatable problem. Do I explain to the person what's going on, or do I just tell them what they need to know? Well, it's not going to work for a guy. I think guys will say, what the fuck? Now, girls, no offense, are going to just follow orders. They're going to go, well, they told me to turn the oven on in the morning and then turn the fan on, and I've been doing what they told me, and so far I didn't blow anything up. Where a guy's going to go, well, what kind of fan is it? Which way is it blowing? Is there a timer on it we could set? Or I'm kind of lazy. I just don't know. And of course, presupposing you know what you're telling them to do is correct. But I do think if you not only have your money in there and you have your perceived target, whether it's above or below you for where you get in, if you sell, if you sell at the market, you definitely want the price to keep going down. You're rooting for that team. If you buy, you want it to go up, and that's your, you're like, hey, it's going that way. And of course, that could be a huge problem too, because you want to, at the end of the day, you want to say, am I making money from making the direction, calling the direction right? Suppose to the guy, let's suppose to the girl that said, well, I'm just placing an order. Or I'm just doing what I'm told. I'm putting in an order 80 pips deep every day, and so far we haven't blown up the account, but so far we haven't taken any trades. But so far I'm ahead of the other guy that's trying to tinker and micromanage the trade and scalp on the tick chart and switch currencies because this one's boring, it's not going anywhere, and you can only fill in the blank, right? It's like the 100 monkey argument or something. I don't know if you're allowed to say that. Apparently you can't say the 100 gorilla thing. Yeah, we used to go to the zoo and see. There used to be this commercial on TV for tea called Red Rose, and they had a chimp. Uh, that was so disturbing because they were running chimps up in the space shuttles or the rockets, space shuttle, chimps and rockets. I mean, the idea that you go, if you can't say that Roseanne Barr, I think they busted her for saying that Charlton Heston movie because she quoted Planet of the Apes. That was the trigger for people. What does he say at the end of that thing when he's on the beach? He's yelling. Or is it Soylent Green? She should have made a Soylent Green joke for Charlie Heston. She picked the wrong movie. But yeah, you just, so whether you get in here and write it down, or you get in here and see yourself in a drawdown before you're in profits, it's so funny because, like a completely naive person, if I handed them just a market order, 2 market orders with 8 pip stops to make like 10 pips, 8 pips, here's risk 16 pips to make 32 pips, right? And tell them only pull the trigger like once every hour on a simple criteria. And they find themselves making money. That's totally possible. Most people that have traded for more than a year couldn't do that because you just wouldn't. It's like, your first girlfriend, you think it's going to be wonderful. Like, we'll get married and you see your whole life in front of you. And then you realize, oh, something's off here. This isn't going to work out. So I do think that it'd be possible to hand somebody a tablet with just 2 tickets in there, give them a simple criteria to launch. And of course, they wouldn't be awake for 24 hours a day anyways, so they might hit or miss, I'll give them the 4-hour chart, right? Give them 8 currency pairs. Now, they wouldn't care, actually, because they wouldn't think about the geopolitics. Now, I know a lot of these traders, I'd say 90% of the traders that I've seen and met, if Trump is banging some chick from Sweden, they're going to take a look at the Swiss franc. They're going to fundamentally want to think about that in their trade and unravel that in their mind and try to let's see if I can make a judgment call on which way the currency is going to go on this, because there's something about human nature. There's something about people wanting to make sure that they've confirmed, like the confirmation number they give you. And I told this guy the other day that's, so let me be honest with you, I'm not writing it down. I always say yeah, and I don't write it down. I'm not writing it down, man. I'm just going to, when I see the negative balance in my account, I'll know it's cleared. But yeah, it's a daunting task, they say, trading, only because this price over time issue. And if your target's price based, then when it gets there is as critical as if it gets there, because if they hit your target, there's so many bad things that could happen. They hit it too fast, they hit it too slow, they go beyond it by 1,000%. I mean, this is like going to the shooting range and hitting the bullseye, but the bullet is it's right on track, but the bullet stops and dies mid-track, and the computer says, yes, you definitely hit. I mean, had your bullet not died in midstream, you totally hit the target. So even the idea of the word target thinks you go to the shooting range and shoot pips. Take that guy that don't read no books with you. Take him to the pip range. Ding. Can you imagine? Tennessee tuxedo. But I don't know. It's just a real it's funny. And then people have a signal service on the target. Oh, they could be, you could have a bi-directional target. So say you're getting in the market and a hedge. How about a hedge signal service every morning or every time in Asia? You just pick both targets and put in 15 pip stops, and you're looking for 40 pips. So yeah, we're going both directions here. Whichever stop gets hit, and then we might get stopped out of both legs and lose 30 pips, or we might get whipsaw signal service, you call it. So you knew that it's better than a lottery ticket. This is how you advertise your signal service. Better than the odds in the back of your lottery ticket. That's how you sell it. But, the idea that you can drop, the magical thing is that you can put an order in there that lasts for an hour that's, 91 pips deep is, to me, astounding that the broker's letting you do that. And to me, this is the gold mine in front of you. If you have enough money to buy every pip for 15 minutes in Asia, above or below you, that's interesting. Now, I have not run stereo. I have not run, like I said, most of the stuff I wrote was buy side, because after I wrote that, it was like, I got to invert the math on that. And it's just to talk about a daunting task. We're talking about taking every script. Now, that's something you hire a girl to do. Have her come in and flip those numbers. But you didn't have to trust she did it right. I had my last wife, I had her do some bookkeeping for me. Dude, she totally missed. Oh, she goes, I got it. I'm like, no, you don't. You just got you like $300 short on your markings. So this is what makes you become a control freak, because you're like, dude, I'll take care of that. You just get the fuck out of here. You just cost me a bunch of time and money. So if you don't have a clue, though, or no, say you just have a bunch of money, then you hire somebody to do that stuff, your bookkeeping, and trust they're doing it right? But yeah, it's, and it's not a 24-hour market. When they say a 24-hour market, it's not like, there's 3 hours of shit happening, then there's a whole lot of not shit happening. There is stuff happening on a tick chart, and with the tight enough spread and tight enough spread and enough. Let's just say the market's flexing 15 pips every 4 hours. That's decent, right? So we could make 15 pips. We can make $150 without a spread, without commission. $150 on a standard lot. Market's just dicking around. We got $100, $300 a day. We could do that. Make $3,000 a day. Okay. I hope you don't mind losing $1,000 every other day. What is your target hit rate? And what is your market call rate? Like, dude, we're going up right now for 5 pips. If you could record yourself calling the market. Don't even trade it. Fuck. Run a demo, dude. If you're all that in a bag of chips, run a demo and call the market out. Stream it. Just be like, yep. Nope, we're going down. Nope, we're going up. How good are you at even reading the next thing? You kind of sense what's going on. After a while, you'd be like, oh, here we go. I'm going to fall in that hole. I'm sure everybody thought that here. Like, oh, geez, something's got to give. We've been going sideways too long. Oh, we're out of bounds. We're trapped up. We're up in this thing. We're not making no headway, and I don't know. Looks kind of iffy. Looks like they trapped everybody that bought that breakout. So I would say look for the holes. Here's the next big fill zone. Fucking stupid. Buy that, sell that. Wow, this is really tough. Yeah, I think it's just not that challenging. I mean, it is from a dynamic standpoint and from a patient standpoint, it's very challenging. So let's imagine this price pulse here caused you to think, and you're like, wow, looks like we're going up. Look at how that just comes up and fills here. Look at step by step. Come up and fill here. And if it's your cycle width for that too, don't forget this is a perfect timing instrument. Cycles, whatever you want to call it. I used to do that too. Take two valleys and find that increment. Okay, what's like maybe 5 hours. That seems to be about the price pulse, right? There's our cycle, tops to bottoms. It's just like that. That's a decent rhythm. I see it a million times. Here's another one. Here's another one. That's about it, right? This gives you that perfect channel. But it's just like this electron that's just been thrown out in space, really. It comes up and fills this hole, then it comes back and fills that, backfills to here. Its pressure's building up, or lack of, anti-pressure vacuum here. So either you're looking at this from a pressure standpoint, like here it's you can flip the word, it wouldn't matter, right? Supply demand. Well, one guy's demand is another guy's supply. And this is the pivot. Right, so this is the pivot, and this would be the new buying zone. It's always going to be the old buying zone retest zone, but it's the new buying zone for us again, once again, and what's old is new again, all the time on here. I would definitely be buying this for any amount of pips in here. Now you'd have to buy 100K, so let's say you buy 50K. That means you can do this. You can buy one at the market on the open. You can get away with this kind of trade with 50K. Like buy one on the open. Oh shit, they're not going to let me draw out here. I forgot this program. Yeah, it doesn't know that I've expanded windows. It's unaware of that. Okay, so here we buy on the open. We overpay there. So we buy right here, put a buy limit here, and we put one here based on that. One here, one here, one here. Buy limits, buy limits, buy limits, buy limits. So those are our stop pump buy limits. And we buy the market. Question is, and this is, and I'd also buy limits here. One here. How big do I buy at the market? How big do I buy at this ticket? How big do I buy here, 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 here? What's the size of these tickets? And do they last for 15 minutes? This one is, I'm in. I want this to happen. I don't want anything coming down here. But what if I think, well, this is not exactly a good price to buy at, but it is cheaper than buying here, and it's cheaper than here, so I'm getting a deal. So where's the stop on this? And how big is the ticket? Well, if the stop is in here, if this is the stop, and it's got to be a smaller ticket than if this is the stop, right? It's got to be a smaller ticket. So if you're bull, in other words, if you think this is going up, you're going to buy here, and now you're not afraid of missing out. You're going to buy here, because this is a logical thing to do. Here, here, here. And here you're going to buy a pant load. And this whole thing here. And here you're going to bet the ranch. You're going to buy so much. And your exits will all be anything up into this. and on the way to that. That's going to be your exits. And the rest, you're going to have to wait for it to unfold. Now, that you could do that every morning, every night in Asia for the next day coming. You already know where you're going to get in. You know where the money management bot's going to get stopped out. That's where you're getting in. So these might be Fibonacci numbers. They might be, who knows, right? They might be just your license plate numbers off the cars you've hit on the way home drunk. There's also, this price is ripe for the pickings all next week. And maybe that's it. And then you got your sell limits here starting and all the way up. And it just could be Fibonacci extensions. It wouldn't matter. And then you just go to the next currency pair, right? Let's go to the 1 hour, what's this, the euro to the pound. Same story here. You had your sell limits up here. Huge historical uncharted zone for so long. Caught in a 10 pip trap. It even comes back to the, even retests one more time before collapsing. And even the first dip into the vacuum made money. Look at this beautiful trade here. So you have the 1 hour chart again. You're only looking back 5 days. I'd say this zoom and one more bigger. This is zoomed out as it ever go because you cannot see how to play this game. These conventions, let's say. If you play bridge, these are like conventions in bridge because it's stacking up, right? The cards are stacking up. And look at this fucking stop hunt here. Fresh new low. Rips up 20 pips, 30 pips, bam, come right to here, bam. Structured drift. Here comes Asia. Look at this robotic entry. Made a mint. Never got stopped out. If it was looking to make this much, it did it. If this one robot, this one algorithm, got in here, never moved the trailing stop, that's why I typically don't. I don't like to move trailing stops because I would have got out here. But if I didn't move it and I hung in there, this is the first logical exit is here because here comes the buyers pulling it back out of that. They come and they grab that vacuum, rip it back. Come and grab this one. Nope, baby's collapsing. They buy here and there's a dead cat bounce within here. Then they smash it. Buyers come in here, dead cat bounce. Might have made this much. I can't see the inside of that. Then we crush to here. More buyers come in, and they finally get paid. Bam. They come up here. They cash out. We buy again. We're long right now, looking to cash out on something. Also looking for the buy stops, this pressure to fill to here, and then maybe it's going to go and do all this kind of crazy shit. But look at this stop bot getting filled here. Trailing sell stops finally makes its 20 pips. Buy stops come in. So you can have a hedge system running just by the sheer buy stop bot and the sell stop bot. Here you go into a winning sell. Here you cash out. Hopefully in this vacuum, get filled, come back the other way. So dynamics of each hour and structurally, where are you at? Right now the buy stop pressure is filling on the top side. So it's unfolding in front of us. It's definitely unfolding. This could go on for the next 10 hours of never a higher high and just keep tanking. So the question is, do you let your sell bot board this? I'd say only here because you have low volatility, and he made a couple pips. He's up. Low volatility, non-directional bot just got in here and made this much money with a stop here that never got taken out. Now, this is the argument against the trailing money management stop because you'd realize 20 pips here. Here's a small range breakout. Non-directional made money. It just happened to go up. Sellers made money. You got it. Here's Asia. Here's the Asian breakout. Here's the trap. There you go. There's the fall through the 10, right to the 10 pip, and then buy stops are triggered and off to the races. So perfect. Look how smooth and look how absolutely well behaved. There's another problem. Look at the smooth linear push. Clean. It just staggeringly just, I don't know if you say perfect. Yeah, I'd say like not even a, it's consistent. That's the problem. It's consistent. It's, look how the trailing 10 pip, this is astounding. It's smooth. Even a perfect pullback, enter, and then forget it. Never again. That's a big fucking mess. Nothing smooth about that. That's kind of a ish struggling. This is jagged, sweep, then crush. This is just exquisitely smooth. It's unbelievable. This is a bigger move, but look how brutal this, when it comes to this price. Wow, what a reaction. I wish that I could have this thing chart blocks behind me. That'd be so cool. Get an indicator that shows you the vacuum looking back, so it'd be like, as it fills, these would disappear, these guys, so you'd just be left with current, the current remaining vacuum that's been formed. So you got this. Yeah, and so you're just looking at that kind of view like this. Anyways, that's my rant. I'm sticking to it.